I wanted to do a video of Gloucester Cathedral for a few reasons. First of all, because it is an absolutely beautiful cathedral with amazing architectural details. Secondly, it's a very historic cathedral with loads of interesting stories within its walls. Third, Gloucester Cathedral is the closest cathedral to where we live in Cheltenham and is just a short drive away. And lastly, it's the Harry Potter Cathedral. It's where several scenes were filmed for the Harry Potter movies, which is why I wore my Harry Potter shirt today. I know it's a Quidditch shirt actually, but I also wore it when we went to Alnwick Castle. But that's another video. In this video, I'll show you around the cathedral and share some fun facts about particularly interesting things you will find within the cathedral. And then after the cathedral tour, I'll share a little vlog of some nearby things in Gloucester.
This is part of Gloucester Cathedral's pretty cathedral close. One thing that you'll notice about Gloucester is the ever-present seagulls.
Coincidentally, we visited the cathedral on a special day, as we learned from this guide.
The foundation stone was laid 932 years ago today.
Gloucester Cathedral has been a place of worship since the 600s. In 679, St. Peter's Abbey was founded in this location. In 1089, the abbey was rebuilt in stone. And then in 1541, the abbey became Gloucester Cathedral, surviving the dissolution of the monasteries.
So an interesting thing to note here at Gloucester Cathedral is you can see the rounded arches of the windows, but they wanted them to look up to date during the Gothic period, so they put in Gothic tracery around the windows to make them look more current.
I love the details in the stonework which covers the cathedral. All the statues, grotesques, and gargoyles. About preserving historic churches and cathedrals, so we always try to donate to each one we visit. Look at the size of these Norman pillars and arches. So the nave is from the 11th century, and these huge Norman pillars and the arches on top were later embellished with these chevrons during the Romanesque period. And this part of the cathedral really shows that perpendicular Gothic style in which the cathedral was remodeled and updated in the 14th century. Too bad we're just missing all the splendor of the original painting that was shown on all of the ribbing and spines and the bosses that join each of those spines. Here in the John the Baptist Chapel, you see a little bit of the colorful painting that would have been all over the cathedral initially, covering the wide pillars and most notably the amazing ceiling above, which now is relatively bland and monochromatic.
Edward II was buried there in 1326 after being murdered at Berkeley Castle, which is about 10 miles south of Gloucester. Henry VIII saved the cathedral. It was previously an abbey, but during the Reformation he got rid of all the abbeys in England, but he saved this one because we've got the king buried here. So it's then made a cathedral, and that was in 1540.
The monks carrying Edward II's body to be buried.
Robert, Duke of Normandy, is buried here, and he was the eldest son of William the Conqueror. And his effigy is it, but he's not buried there. They don't know for sure where he's buried. He could either be buried under the choir or in the chapter house, which is just off the cloister. So, but he is buried here in one of those two places. And he was actually imprisoned at Cardiff Castle, where he died.
What we have right here is a plaque in memory of John Stafford Smith, who died in 1836. And he's noteworthy because his father was an organist here at Gloucester Cathedral, but he then went on to become a very well-known composer of music, including the Star-Spangled Banner, which became national anthem in 1931 in the United States. So here at his memorial is a U.S. flag as well as the Union flag. So here is the gorgeous choir area of the cathedral.
This is the east window of Gloucester Cathedral. It is the size of a tennis court and is one of the largest medieval glass windows in existence. During World War II, in order to ensure that it survived any bombing, it was dismantled. Half of it was put into the crypt of Gloucester Cathedral and the other half was stored at a nearby manor house, and then it was reassembled after the war.
That was quite the puzzle to put back together.
Yep.
The Gothic architects, when they remodeled this part of the cathedral, wanted to bring in lots of light. So they put in this gigantic stained glass window wall, which is fascinating in its detail because it also very symbolically shows earthly to heavenly people, starting with, on the bottom row, kings, going up to then abbots and bishops, Christ, the Virgin Mary, and the apostles on either side, and then angels above that, going from earthly to heavenly. Shown below the row of kings in the window is a medallion which depicts what is believed to be the first recorded image of the game of golf. The window is from about 1350. Isn't that fascinating? This colorful chapel off the south transept of the cathedral was inspired by Italian design and is beautifully colorful. The paintings here are amazing, the sculptures, and the ceiling. Most colorful part of the ceiling in the cathedral. I like this angel here holding the message, "Blessed is the man that endureth." Here's what it looked like as a Norman abbey. In the 1450s, the central tower that's so iconic, the Gloucester Cathedral, was built and the west end was remodeled. In the 1470s was the Lady Chapel, which we're going to go see now. Now we are in the Lady Chapel, which is well-known part of Gloucester Cathedral because of its amazing stained glass windows on all three sides. Some of the stained glass is medieval and some of it is modern up to the 20th century. And the Lady Chapel was built to honor the Virgin Mary.
Built between 1465 and 1482, the Lady Chapel was the last part of the cathedral to be built. It was very sumptuously adorned, but some of that is not here today because it was very badly damaged during the Reformation and the Civil War.
This is an example of some of the damage that would have been done. These little nooks right here certainly had statues in them, and of course everything would have been very brightly colored and have gold and jewels. And a lot of that splendor is gone because all of these nooks are empty. And when you see this back wall, it's just devoid of all decoration. It's an example of the damage that would have happened during the Reformation. But we're so grateful that Gloucester Cathedral was able to survive at all.
The cloister of Gloucester Cathedral is world famous thanks to Harry Potter. Scenes from 3 of the Harry Potter movies were filmed here, and fans from all over the world come to see where the magic happened. The filming only took place in the cloister, which was the area originally used by monks for working, teaching, and relaxing. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry, Ron, and Hermione walk through the corridors of Hogwarts, and the medieval carols where the monks would have studied can be seen to their left. In that same movie, Harry and Ron are seen running from the North Cloister Walk as they rush back to rescue Hermione from the troll, which has been rampaging through the castle. Then Harry and Ron hide from the troll in the Laboratorium. More on that later. In Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Mr. Filch, the caretaker, accuses Harry of killing his cat, who has been found petrified and hanging from a hook in the northeast corner of the cloister. In Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Harry again hides in the Laboratorium, behind one of the pillars. In that same movie, we can see Maggie Smith as Professor McGonagall in the cloister on the first day of school. And in the crowd scenes of that movie, lucky students from the King's School next door to the cathedral were used as extras in the film, playing the part of Hogwarts students.
Here is the Laboratorium where they would wash their hands. Also interesting because they filmed the scenes of Moaning Myrtle in the bathroom and the flood that resulted here in the cloisters. In fact, the story about how they had to cover the ancient floor to protect it from water damage whilst filming the flood is actually a very interesting story. Around the world, these ceilings are famous for their fan vaulting, which is just beautiful. In this Hogwarts corridor, turns out they have had Warner Brothers here in the Gloucester Cathedral since the 1700s, because here is Thomas Warner and here is Edward Warner, and they were brothers. The Harry Potter films are a Warner Brothers franchise, but Warner Brothers have been here at Gloucester Cathedral since 1706. This is the garden where the monks would come to walk around, get their exercise, sit, meditate, ponder.
If you had been to Gloucester Cathedral, did you notice any other favorite things that I didn't mention in this video? And if you haven't been yet, do you want to visit now? These beautiful infirmary arches are located behind the cathedral and are all that remain of the original Abbey Hospital.
So here is St. Thomas's Church with its truncated spire.
And how do you know it's a truncated spire?
Because it's got a cap on it and it's obviously missing the top part, which is fallen off.
And here is the spire that fell off the top.
The chippy across the road from Gloucester Cathedral claimed to have been ranked one of the top 10 best fish and chip places in the UK. So we were curious and hungry enough to see if they deserved that honor. The restaurant was in a timber frame building which was constructed in 1450, nearly a century before the monastery across the street became a cathedral and Gloucester became a city. We got our order of cod and chips, which, by the way, was good, but not the best we've had. And we settled on a nearby bench to enjoy our lunch. And then this happened.
We're trying to enjoy our fish and chips, but someone is slowly inching their way toward us. But we've got our eye on you, bud. Stay away. I'm armed with a fork.
He keeps trying to inch his way in toward us and our fish and chips because he can smell them. But he's in the middle of a busy road, and so cars keep coming and pushing him out of the way. It's pretty funny.
Hey, where are you going? Where are you going? For one final shot of Gloucester, here's a look at the shop with the headless mannequin nudist colony. Be sure to stay tuned for next Friday's video, in which we will share our visit to the stunning house and gardens of Craigside in Northumberland. Thanks so much for watching, and do something good in the world today.